My name is Stefan. I'm planning to photograph farmers in the south of Cuba. Please make a donation.
Who are you? Tell us about your project.
My name is Stefan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a photographer. I live in Tadamagush, Nova Scotia.
Uh-huh.
I am in the photography business since the 90s, so I'm getting old. I am planning to raise funds for a project in Cuba. I would like to photograph farmers in the Sierra Maestre Mountains in the south of Cuba, together with a friend of mine who is Cuban, who lives in the municipality of Giza.
Is that the same area as the farmers?
The farmers are also in this area. He was born there, so he knows people there. It is in the province of Granma. The village that we are planning to work in is called Victorio.
Who are the farmers?
We are planning to go in the mountain and photograph people who are living there since generations. Some of them are still living there as like 100 years ago, without electricity, without running water, subsistence farming, coffee, some pigs, some chicken, banana patches, things like this. The average stuff that grows there.
You told me he's concerned about the lifestyle that they're having, that it's dying out.
It is basically the same problem that all the farmers have in the world. I photographed here in Tadamagush, where I live, a few years ago, my neighbors, and I learned about their problems. And when I talked to Pedro about what's going on in the mountains there, it is exactly the same thing. They have trouble to survive. They are losing the younger generations. They are moving away because the life is too hard. The money is not there, so they have to find other incomes, which then leads people into the bigger cities. So
this is happening all over.
It is happening.
In the Hudson Valley where I live, the same thing is happening.
And it also happens in Europe, and it happens in India. Wherever you go, you're facing the same problems with this group of people.
But why these particular farmers? I mean, since it's happening every place, what brings you to Cuba to want to do it?
In the last few years, I worked on another project in Cuba. I was traveling around with a large format camera, photographing monuments and street art and sculptures in Cuba. And this is why I came to this particular municipality, because it was part of that project, and I met my friend there. He helped me along, helping to find accommodation and things like this. And since he is a filmmaker and also a photographer, he was interested in my gear, and we started as colleagues to talk about the whole thing, and we became friends over that. And then I also have a little bit of a background in farming. I live on a farm here in Nova Scotia, and I also farm a little bit on the side. So, and he does the same thing. He also has a farm in the mountains. So we are not only colleagues within the photography business, but also colleagues as being part of our respective farming communities. So we started talking about this, and we discovered that both groups of people are having trouble, both in Canada and in
Right.
in Cuba, and since I have German background, the same also happens there. So
Right.
it is a global problem, and we thought we should go ahead and photograph that before it disappears.
Before it disappears,
Right.
yeah, I understand that.
My Canadian project was called The Vanishing Breed,
Mm-hmm.
and even though we will find another title for this Cuban thing,
Mm-hmm.
the same term applies
It does,
to that too.
and I noticed that's what you do mostly is you document social change that's happening in many areas.
Well, I did that all my career. You know,
Right.
I finished photo school in 1991,
Right, but you've been
and
to
then
Vietnam.
I went to Vietnam. I've been to the southwest of the United States. I lived on the Navajo reservation for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Photographed the impact of industrialization, in this particular case, the mining,
Mm-hmm.
on the traditional way of the Navajos. I stayed in a community which was still living. The social structure of this community was still the same as it was before the white man came and changed everything around. So there was a functioning traditional social structure there, which interested me, you know.
Sure.
And then when I came here to Nova Scotia and settled here and lived here,
Mm-hmm.
I started to photograph uh, the farmers, which are in a rural community, are the backbone of the community.
Now you're seeking funding to do this Cuban
Yes,
project.
yes. I'm seeking funding to realize this Cuban project about the farmers there, which would be then another stepping stone within those projects I did all my life.
Exactly.
You
You want to tell people a little bit about what the funding will go towards?
The funding I'm seeking right now shall go to traveling expenses, plainly an airfare ticket,
Right, getting there.
accommodation,
Mm-hmm.
living expenses. One part of the project will be a black and white analog
So the photographs will be black and white. Okay.
photo project, because that would match other things I have done before.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, in this little video that we are trying to do now, you will see some examples of it, right?
Okay.
So it will include, the funding will be used for film material for developer,
Mm-hmm.
and later on for printing paper,
Okay.
ink, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah,
It sounds very simple and very straightforward.
it's straightforward. Yes.
Really,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would be interested in helping to preserve exactly what you're trying to point out.
I think the interest is there. I mean, whenever I talk about things like this, I find big interest.
Sure, and people don't know
yeah,
what to do.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an excellent way to help to preserve traditional lifestyles. What I didn't mention before is that we're also trying to do interviews with the people, and which we then later. So we will have a written accord of their voice, or we will have an accord of their voices. We will have a written accord of what they had to say. So we are trying to bring out their word and make it accessible for a larger audience.
Right. And Pedro is the one that will be doing the interviewing because he
Certainly.
knows all these
He
people.
knows all these people.
life.
His Spanish is
Sure.
way better than my Spanish.
Yeah. No, it sounds great.
Yeah, we're trying to pull out something here, and then, which is another phase of that project. We of course are trying to publish that. You know, right now we are trying to bring the results to a point where they could be exhibited in a gallery, whatever venue is available for that. In the next phase, we are thinking about finding a publishing house that would be interested in stuff like this and publish the photos plus the interviews in a book.
That's great. Good luck with this.
Thank you very much.
I can't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to get the funds.
I hope so. You know. with the help of the people, right?
Yes.
Please make a donation.